Okay. So, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Guruve Nama. This is a program, campus to corporate, from gurus, from the academia to the gurus in industry, who will be shaping the future of our workforce. So I dedicate this to all our teachers. Friends, I welcome you all. There are a lot of panelists and dignitaries available, are joining our program, and equally the beneficiary students are there. I'm very delighted. Uh, in the beginning itself, I would like to say that there is a prospective employee who are looking for the prospective employer to just start their career. And at the same time, there are prospective employer who are looking for the bright mind with adequate and appropriate competencies and skill to join their organization and bring the cohesive workforce, work with cohesive workforce and contribute in achieving the organizational goals and objective effectively and efficiently. So with this both end, now we know each other. I want the program to be started. Uh, this is I'm program coordinator, Dr. Vijay Fate. I'm a behavioral trainer, OD consultant, and holistic leadership and wellness coach. I'm graduated from medicine, Masters of Industrial Organization Psychology, and Masters of Business Administration. I did my PG diploma in value education and spirituality, and there I'm a certified happiness and wellness coach. I'm a chairman of ISTD Nagpur chapter. I'm a chairman of program and L&D committee of ISTD. I'm a founder regional director for Alpha Group, that is a Noble Manhattan coaching company, United Kingdom. I'm the ex in charge of placement and corporate relation. I am Nagpur. I'm also ex-director for the Management and Engineering College in Nagpur, and the ex-vice president with HR and OD with Sunil High-Tech Engineers Limited, a public limited company. Recipient of Leadership Award from NHRD, a recipient of Top Training and Development Leader Award from HRD Congress. I welcome you all, friend, and this will be our agenda. I'll request Dr. Kurian Daniel to give the theme presentation, followed by I will introduce my panelist. Sir.
Good evening, Dr. Vijay Patel.
Good evening, sir.
Dear National President ISTD, Dr. Natashree, all OB members, President Emeritus, past presidents. Today's panelist, Dr. Ruma Gopal, international trainer and former RVP East. Dr. Kiran, Head of HR, Western Digital India, Board Member, Unity Way, Hyderabad. Dr. Anita Mahadok, Managing Director of Open Space Consulting, Mumbai. Dr. G P Rao, founder GPR HR Consulting LLP, Delhi. Mr. Shashi Rajan, Group General Manager HR ONGC. Moderator Professor Dr. Amit Jain, Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Rajasthan. Event Coordinator Dr. Vijay Fate, Chairman, Nagpur Chapter. NC members, ISTD members, and all other participants. I will be repeating few statements made during panel discussion series 1 to 4, started on 22nd October 2021 for the benefit of new participants. ISTD is revisiting our punchline, ISTD helping people to grow. ISTD is organizing various programs for the enrichment of the members and the society at large. All the programs are of relevant theme and useful for all generations. ISTD is having both academic institutions and corporates as our institutional members. Hence, it becomes our prime responsibility to act as a bridge between institutions and corporate for better connectivity and output. We have learned from experience that most of the students who passed with engineering or MBA are not getting placement because they are not compatible with industry or corporate requirements. Hence, ISTD has decided to help academic institutions and corporates by designing and implementing customized training capsule of 30 to 50 hours duration. For a detailed study of the situation, we started a series of panel discussion on 22nd October 2021 involving experts from management institutes, engineering colleges, and industries to shoulder with ISTD. Gist of the discussion shall be finalized to enable us to design various capsules under campus to corporate. ISTD faculty will facilitate the same during their MBA or engineering final year with no additional cost to students or institutions. We will encourage the beneficiary corporates to sponsor this course through their CSR funding. We shall involve the concerned corporates in designing customized capsule too. ISTD will offer certificates for all participants and list of successful students shall be forwarded to sponsored corporates. Corporates will be benefited in getting trained candidates ready to be on board. Our discussion will be analyzed based on government's new education policy to arrive at a profound solution satisfying both academia and corporates as far as possible. Leaders achieve success not by doing different things, but doing it differently. We also exhibit this series differently by involving moderators of last 4 series as panelists of this 5th one being the last of the series. You may visit ISTD YouTube page and listen to the recording. Let us discuss more on this theme, which is the need of the hour. Wishing you all an active participation. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Kiran sir. Friends, now we are at 91, and I also have one more agenda that I request all our participants to switch on their videos so that we can have initial screenshot and which will go into record. I request you all, please switch on your videos. That's great. Thank you very much all. Oh, Sunil Abral sir is also there. I'm really happy, sir, to see you there. I've taken one screenshot. I'm just taking another. There are 4 screens. Okay. All right. So just 3 short of my century. We are 97. Yeah. All right, sir. So let me quickly introduce our panelist, our extreme panelist, profound knowledge leaders in their domain, Dr. G P Rao. As a founder of G P Rao HR Consulting, LLP Delhi, he has nearly 4 decades of HR and general management experience. He worked with organizations like SAIL, JK Organization, Birlas, and Reliance Industry. He has started his own consultancy in business coaching, workplace synergy facilitation, strategic people advisory, and he's a law graduate, master in commerce, public administration, social work, business management, and having a lot of certification in various psychometric tools. A very learned person. We on panel, whenever you will look at, once I finish the profile of panelists, you will find that we are very elite panel today. Honorary a PhD in management, a recipient of Outstanding Contribution Award from National HRD Network and HR Professional of the Year and HR Leadership Excellence Award. Welcome you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
We have Dr. Kiran Dutt, Head of HR, Western Digital India, and Board Member of United Way, Hyderabad. And she is also equally dynamic lady we have today. Amongst the other dynamic ladies we have, 3 decades of professional experience with blend of academia, research, and angel investment, and not for profit organization, corporate executive role. She's also a management law and psychology discipline graduate from disciplines. Ex-head of Center for Excellence at the IBS, Indian School of Business, Center for Leadership, Innovation and Change. She's the ex-country head of HR and site administration for the Intercontinental Exchange, parent company of New York Stock Exchange, and first corporate vice president HR of AMD. That's an achievement for her, because outside in America, she was the only Indian to become HR vice president. I welcome Kiran Dutt. Next panelist is Dr. Anita Modak. Modak is the managing director of Open Space Consulting in Mumbai. She too has the 4 decades of coaching and training experience. She's an organizational psychologist and integrative nutrition health coach. She is PhD in psychology, recipient of international certification from Institute of Integrative Nutrition, USA, and she is an international coach, Federation certified PCC level coach. So that's a great achievement for her. And she's a gold standard in HR professional. And she is extending her services for the betterment of all. And now she shares the same thing with me because I'm also coming from the health background and nutritional side. I welcome Anita Madhok, ma'am. We have Dr. Ruma Gomes, international trainer, industrial psychologist, director of Fit India Movement. She's an ex-faculty of IMT Ghaziabad, ISS, WBM, and other renowned colleges and universities. She's PhD in behavioral sciences, certificate of various psychometric tools she has done, and she's a practicing psychotherapist and counselor and trainer. She must have come across many young career-oriented people and have coached them on that. So that knowledge we would like to seek you from you, ma'am. She's associated with many national and international organizations and recipient of Mahatma Gandhi Human Rights Award 1990 for working on women empowerment. I welcome you, Dr. Ruma Gom.
Thank you, sir.
Our next panelist is Dr. Mr. Shashi Ranjan, Group General Manager, HR, ONGC. He do have experience of 36 years in various functions of functional areas of management, graduate in law, Masters of Business Administration, diploma in training and development from ISTD. He's a head of management development program. That's a big thing for ONGC coming from public union sector and developing their management leadership thing. So certified trainer and assessor in emotional intelligence. He has an area of research and training include onboarding, emotional intelligence, and resilience. Resilience is the time need of hour. I welcome Shashi Ranjan sir. And last but not the least, the greatest player of today's match, Professor Dr. Amit Jain is the Pro Vice Chancellor, Dean Faculty of Management Studies, Amit University, Rajasthan, Chairman of ISTD Jaipur chapter, PhD, MBA, and FDP from IIM Ahmedabad. Is an ex-director, international collaboration, and professor from PAPMI School of Business at Manipal University, Jaipur. A visiting professor with University of Technology, Sydney, Australia. I'm not able to pronounce this ZCNY. Please excuse me for that. EST1 University, Hungary, and Siles Jones University, Slovakia. And his area of interest is research, training, and consultancy. I welcome Dr. Amit Jain. And with this, I stop my faculty introduction and panelist introduction and request Amit Jain sir to take it further.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vijay. You are such a wonderful speaker and host, no doubt about it. A very warm welcome to Honorable National President, Honorable National Vice President, esteemed National Council members of ISTD, ISTD members, several participants from several management institutions, universities. A very warm welcome to this panel discussion. I have a slight cough and cold and a sore throat, so I'll request everyone to cooperate. But the kind of panel that we have today, which represents the best of, I believe, all the world. We have people from academia, we have people from industry, we have people from consulting, we have people who have been at the helm of affairs, right at the front as HR managers, L&D managers, training managers. So we have best of all the world, I'll say. My job as a moderator here is to set a context. And when I started thinking about it, I thought, what a wonderful idea this is, which I'm sure everyone knows that is the thought process of Mr. Kiran Daniel, who initiated this activity. And what a wonderful way of bridging the gap between the industry and academia. And the topic itself represents when we say, from campus to corporate. The journey, seems to be a very small journey, but the kind of preparation that is required, the kind of onboarding efforts that are required from the organization are immense. And if we have a right kind of hand-holding, if we provide a right background, if we provide them with the right skills and abilities, I'm sure that transition is very, very smooth, and they come out with the flying colors. They start performing from the day one. Talking about the topic where we are talking about from campus to corporate, and we were deliberating within our group that we created a couple of days ago to what kind of areas we should focus upon, because the topic is very broad. There is so much to talk about. I believe in a typical 2-year MBA program, or in typical 4 or 5-year other professional programs, throughout the programs, our focus is to improve the employability, to improve and work on the knowledge, attitude, skills, and habits of our students. And what we are attempting today is to talk about that same thing in next 40, 45 or 50 minutes or so. So it's a tough task for all my panelists today, but the kind of expertise and experience they bring together on the board, I'm sure they'll do a great justice. Talking about the themes, I'm giving quick pointers that what will be the focus of discussion today. Everyone will pick up some or other dimension because of the diverse background and the diverse experience they bring to the fore. But broadly speaking, our focus today is going to be on skills and abilities our students, our would-be corporate managers or entrepreneurs should develop in order to survive in this VUCA world, which now has been replaced by a BANI world, right? So volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, that VUCA is gone. If we have right kind of vision, ability, skills, we can definitely counter that. But what the new normal brings to us is a BANI world, where we are facing a situation which is very, very brittle, a lot of anxiety, so anxious, non-linear, and incomprehensible. There are few things which are not comprehensible at all. And in such a situation, the torch bearers or the guiding lights are sitting with us today. So we are going to talk about, what are the expectations of corporates from the graduates, especially the fresh graduates. We'll be talking about what will be the future of work and job due to increased automation, use of AI, ML. We have some industry leaders who have worked in the core areas of technology-based companies. So definitely we will have great insights regarding that also. We will touch upon some aspects of leadership and HR during such turbulent times that we face today. And definitely this new normal has forced us to think that, what kind of employee engagement, what kind of onboarding activities that we can have, because many of the employees today are joining directly online, work from home, and they will continue for quite some time, right from their home only. So this represents an entirely new world, a lot of changes in the way we used to operate, the way we used to work, the way we used to communicate. And I'm sure that all the panelists would like to throw some light on these burning issues that many of our fresh graduates face in today's world.
Dr. Amit,
now is
before you proceed, I'd like to tell my audience there that any questions, anytime they feel need to be asked, please write it into chat so that we can take it at the end of the thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will also request everyone else to kindly keep on mute because we are not doing this webinar in webinar mode, in fact, in a meeting mode. So anyone who has the mic on, it will be visible, it will be audible to everyone. So I request everyone else to kindly keep your microphone on mute. Only the speakers, when they are speaking, are requested to turn their mic on. So what I am going to do is, now I am inviting all the panelists one by one. Every panelist will have somewhere around 5 to 8 minutes to touch upon the various issues that I just now raised in front of this August panel. And irrespective of any criteria, I'm simply picking up from the poster that was designed for this particular panel discussion by ISTD. I'm randomly calling the speakers one by one. So first, I would like to invite Mr. Shashi Rajan from ONGC to share his thoughts on this theme. Over to you, Mr. Shashi.
Thank you, Professor Amit Jain. Must thank you for this opportunity, and also Dr. Vijay Phate for kind words said about in the introduction. Professor Amit, let me say that once we talk about campus to corporate or campus and corporate, it gives a ring of binary. It's not a binary, of course. It's a sort of very heterogeneous type of tripod where one is the campus, one is the corporate, but most significant, another is the student. And everything is very heterogeneous. Once we talk about the campus, I am very happy to say that more than 100 campuses, institutions in India, in B schools and hundreds in engineering colleges are doing such tremendous good practices that students who are coming to the industry are very seasoned, very apt to the requirement of the industry. Corporates also are quite heterogeneous, all types. I recall one story that around 10 years back, one of my batchmates' son had graduated from one premier rural management institute in India, premier by international standards also. So one rural marketing company came to the campus, offered 14 lakh rupees per annum type of job to 4 boys. 14 lakh rupees per annum 10 years before was quite a good, decent offer. And what they did, they just picked it up from that place and gave them an air ticket to go to Africa and start sourcing spices. No accommodation, no language training, no cultural context, nothing. They were just left on their own to work on, and we can very easily project the consequences, what happened. Everybody came back very soon. On the other side, there are corporates who run very long, elaborate programs of onboarding with a very good pious desire of seasoning the executives. And the program goes on and on very long, maybe 1 year, that executives themselves start wondering that what for we have been recruited in this organization. And for engagement, you touched, Professor, in the beginning, it's very important that one feels being utilized well. And then there are there are a mix of all that. Then students are also all sort. If you go to the very good organization like one you lead there, you prepare through cases, through faculty exposition, through industry interaction, and the boys and girls who come to the campus are very mature. But even, Professor, among the very modest campuses I have seen, there's always a bunch of students who are very, very good. Once we go to campuses for interaction, we find them very good boys and girls. So very good work is going on in the campuses from that angle. And through you and ISTD, I would like to assure the students that corporates also have a very significant stake in your success. It's not only you who is responsible for your success, but it is also the employer who has a great stake in your success. So they make all the efforts for you to become such person. Like, for example, I'll take one, team building and leadership. So once we recruit people, like we are in oil and gas exploration and production industry, so we don't get from the campuses ready-made drilling engineers or mud engineers or reservoir engineers. We do train season RA stuff. It's a team game. So if you put 12 girls and boys in a raft in Bhagirathi, which goes through a rapid of 5-degree category of rapid, and everybody is scared for her of his life, teams do get created in such moments. So organizations have all sort of processes, mechanism, interest in your success. What you need to bring in to the campus are few very basic things. One is that you should maintain your learning capacity or fluid learning in another perspective, as you can say. You should be always prepared to learn as you were in your campus. So throughout the career, you would be required. Because learning requirement is the same, of course, the game changes. Once you are in the campus, you have your examination at the end of the trimester or semester or the year end. Here, every day you are facing an exam at the marketplace or at the shop floor. And then maximum marks are not 100. History has proved everybody, every moment, every passing year, the results go beyond 100. So that is basics of synergy. So no glass ceilings of any result. Then come up very good with your conceptual knowledge. People do look down on the bookish knowledge, but bookish knowledge is the most important thing, because this is the opportunity you are not going to get any time else in your organization. Then you are in the campus. Discipline, of course, is important, need not be emphasized. Be very prepared for the tumultuous future. And Corona, despite of what bad it has done, it has prepared us very well for the tumultuous future, for the students, also for the corporates. Strategize your thinking. Once you come to the company, it's nothing like a marketing alone or HR alone or finance alone. If you are an area sales manager and you have to think about the incentives, you are an HR manager, you are a finance manager, you are a marketing manager. So just strategize and think of the linkages, understand the linkages, all that. Be very future ready, because the age with which you are coming in, you are of course more tech savvy than the people your seniors are there. So you have all the opportunities to improvise upon, innovate, make it more efficient, all the processes. So challenge with great modesty, of course, challenge all the assumptions, all the processes, try to distill them, how you can make and create more value out of that. Ambiguity is, as Professor Jain talked about, Bani as well as VUCA. It's all about ambiguity, and all about how do you steer through that. It was a truth 10 years before even. When as a child, I used to go to the marketplace along with my mother in a cycle rickshaw. I'm talking about 40 years back. The coconut oil used to come only from two companies, Hindustan Lever, that name, and Tata's. And that was all packed in shoddy tin packs, which did hurt customers at various points of time. When Marico, a bunch of young people, Harsh Mariwala and even younger people, when they came in with the newer concept of product, newer sense of packaging, plastic round packaging, everybody just wrote them off. It cannot happen. But then history has proved that others have been emulating all that. So Professor Jain, I would like to rephrase it and then sum up here, that corporates, please be very assured, the students, that corporates have equal, if not more, stake in your success. Come up with those very basic competencies, and history is yours. Every leader was a beginner, so are you. And then I'll wish you best and hand it over back to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shashi. In fact, what a wonderful thought process you have. Very rarely when I hear to people from industry and corporate, they say that theoretical knowledge, even conceptual knowledge is very important. So, but you're very right, because a strong foundation leads to a very strong building, right? And that is what happens when you are conceptually strong, when you have good knowledge of theory and concepts. You can always apply it, because the context will keep on changing, but concept will never change, right? And what a wonderful suggestion that you have given: the role of strategy, the focus of pedagogy, and the focus on discipline. So these are some of the wonderful aspects that I picked up from your talk. Thank you so much. I would like to call upon now Dr. Ruma, a wonderful trainer, HR leader, consultant, doing a lot of training programs for corporate. And let's hear to Dr. Ruma now.
A very good evening to all of you, and thank you so much, Professor Jain. Thank you, Dr. Vijay Phate, for giving such a great introduction. See, during my series of this panel discussion, I just would like to sum up a few things. Also, being into corporate as an industrial psychologist, I would also like to discuss few things which I feel that when we are going, we will go for a job market, it's very important to have those understanding. So basically, transition is an ongoing process. So here, a student is from the campus, they will be joining to the corporate. So there will be a lot of anxiety, but at the same time, sense of achievement is also there. So because it's a new environment, new location, new learning, at the same time, so when a student is going to work, they will also earn. So regular source of income, sense of freedom, all these things are there. At the same time, managing expectation, and they also need to meet up their goals. So on this, I would like to elaborate few things. We call it a 6H model: honesty, humility, health, hunger, hard work, and human values. These are very important when we are going to join from the campus to corporate. Now, being a freshers, they have got a lot of aspirations in their mind. First thing is very important, that where am I going to work? So brand, what kind of culture I'm in, and what kind of culture I'm going to put myself in, work culture, career growth, and very importantly, package. Because during our discussions, we have found out that even though we graduate as an maybe engineering graduate, maybe into IT, information technology, but at the same time, we have got very high expectation in terms of the package. So all these things we have to keep it in mind. The skill is very important, even though nowadays, though filtration has taken place in this Vani word, what Professor Jain is very importantly he said that. But at the same time, being a fresher, we also need to understand the company's expectation. So company's expectations, whom am I going to take? So whether the person is having a commitment or not, what kind of value system is he in or she is in, attitude, confidence, knowledge, expertise, which is very, very important. Whatever you do in this world, your knowledge and expertise will really take it forward. People and leadership skill, passion and pride. So campus, when we will be transiting from the campus to corporate, it's very important to have this supporting system and accountability, responsibility. There are certain behavioral traits, as a fresher, when we will be joining to a corporate, we need to have optimism in our mind, attitude, the value system, structural communication is very important. The way a fresher, when a student, let me say it in that way, when a student is studying in a college or an university, they do not have a kind of structural communication. So, but when they are into corporate, they need to have that in mind. So student must have certain strategy, which, one, I think it's from my perception, develop a right kind of attitude, limit their expectation, and first impression. We say that 30 seconds of our life, that first impression is very important. When we go to a corporate for an interview, build cordial relationship, be a good follower, exhibit your professionalism. That is what is very important. And today's world is completely digitally, we say that, tech savvy. So person has to have a very good digital persona. So that is what is very important. So, after all these discussions with my panelists, I have gathered few points, that mantra of success. There are 9 E's. The first E, we call it an examine. So what to examine? Examine your life. Then second E for exchange. Exchange, what to exchange? Small options for big win. Third E is expose yourself to successful people. It's very important. We all need to expose ourselves. Don't keep yourself inside a kind of well. Fourth E, it's expect. What do we need to expect? Opposition for your dream. Fifth, all efforts and energy. What you need to do is an exercise. All efforts and energy towards the dream. Sixth E is believe in your dreams. Seventh, extract. What to extract? Positive lessons in life. Then eighth is explore. Every possible avenue you need to explore. And the last is exceed. What to exceed? Normal expectations. So being a student, how do you need to prepare yourself from campus to corporate? Work on realistic expectations, change the belief that degree will get me a job. That is the typical understanding for all the students, that okay, I'm spending so much of money, I am doing my BTech, I'm doing my MBA, and I will get my job, which is not possible, because campus, they require skills and attitude apart from the knowledge. So we need to have that exposure and frequent learning and development. In our session also, we have discussed about this faculty development program in corporates for internship. So if we can do that. So I would like to conclude with a saying of Bill Cosby, who is an American comedian, that he said, in order to succeed, your desire for success should be greater than your fear of failure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ruma. What a wonderful address. You spoke for 5 minutes, but it was very evident that at least 50 years of wisdom has gone into it, right? And I always tell my students also that they should always explore and experiment, and through that they will automatically gain experience. And now you have extended this E to 9 E's. So what a wonderful way. We have been talking about success strategy, McKinsey's framework. I believe there will be a new framework for self-development and career development with Dr. Ruma Gom's 9 E's going forward. Thank you so much. What a wonderful address. So brief, so quick, and so detailed. Thank you. I would like to invite Dr. Anita now. Dr. Anita has been talking to a lot of corporates, doing a lot of training programs. We have been together facilitator in a couple of MDPs and train the trainer programs. It was really a wonderful opportunity to interact and learn from her. So, dear audience, we have with us Dr. Anita Mudokna.
Thank you, Professor Amit Jain. It's a pleasure always to have interactions with you. Thank you to Dr. Daniel Kurian for organizing this wonderful series. I think it's very comprehensive and covers a lot of ground. And thank you to all the ISTD members for being present here, and the backup support that we get from the ISTD office as well. I'm basically a psychologist, and that's how I like to introduce myself. And that's the point of view I will be taking here today in the next 10 minutes. I have been on 4 sides of this table, campus to corporate. I have been a student in a business school, namely XLRI Jamshedpur. 1981, when I graduated, the campus recruitment was very, very, very cutthroat. There were more companies and less students. And I did take up my job with Rallies India Limited, which was on campus. And there were 22 management trainees from all the premier business schools. And I think within a year, only 2 of them remained. And within the next 5 years, only 1 remained. So there was something that was not okay with the way we matched, the job with the person. I have been a recruiter. I took my second job after rallies with Shriram Fibers, the DCM group in Delhi. And for the next 7 years, I was responsible for going on the campus rounds, doing the recruitment, and handling the entire management trainee scheme. We had relatively better rate of success because we used to pay very well in those days, and the DCM group was known to be a top paymaster. But nevertheless, we still had a lot of attrition. And as a campus recruiter on this side of the table, I was always concerned about how this person will fit into my organization culture, rather than what was his CGPA and what was the marks and hard skills and soft skills. More about cultural fit. We would say, no, this fellow doesn't look like he will belong in our company. And there was no scientific way of doing that, but that was definitely one of the criteria in those days. But the big pain as a recruiter was, how do I get the day 1 slot of campus placement? And how do I get the 6 a.m. slot so that I have the top of the best candidates, which again is not the best way to recruit, frankly. As a academician and teacher, I spent the next 14 years of my life in Narsimonji Institute of Management Studies, being the dean of the School of Business there, coaching, guiding, counseling a lot of students, witnessing and also coordinating the placement committee activities, and witnessing the first 3 days of campus recruitment where everything got set up to match the right student with the wrong job. And it doesn't matter how well you prepared the student mentally, it doesn't matter what discipline the student put in, it doesn't matter what internships you had, exposures you had, independent living experiences you had, but the match has to be done properly between the culture of the student, the mindset of the student. When you take a batch of 20 management trainees, some are bound to be extroverts, some are bound to be introverts, some are bound to be, very thinking, judging kind of people, and all kinds of personalities come. So the matching, not only of the personality of the culture, is very important. And now I'm a consultant. In the last few years, I've been on this side of the table. This is the fourth side of the table I'm on. And I take student interns regularly on a regular basis. I also take, sessions on campus and corporate. I advise many institutions of higher education in their efforts and in their ways of managing. And I've done a lot of work with, and a lot of students, talk to me still a lot. So on four sides of the table, as a psychologist, I would like to share some behavioral point of view. I think it's not so much a function of hard skills and soft skills. Yes, we are empowering students with hard skills, knowledge, concept theory, which is very important, as you said, Professor. And also we are empowering them with soft skills. We are giving them so many communication classes, so many emotional intelligence sessions, so many group dynamics, personal growth labs, you name it. Students have them both, hard skills and soft skills. What we are failing to do is the matching of the students with the kind of company cultures. And at the time of placement, that is a gap which is not being fulfilled, because student decides on the companies they want to apply for, and their criteria is very, very limited, very, very stringent, and say, I will only join this and this company, I will have only this much salary, not less. And the companies also come with extremely selective criteria, which are basically, I want the top CGPA and I want people with these hard skills. They fail to look at the match of the personality with the, so there would, when I was the dean at NMIMS, I used to do a lot of studies in personality profiling of students. And every student used to get a lot of feedback on their nature, their, intrinsic innate preferences for behavior. And then they would also be, many students would come for personal guidance, but there was no proper process or a discipline or a procedure for that career guidance that we could give. But many students whom we helped in finding the right job to apply for actually succeeded in staying there in the long term. Needless to say, why do 75 to 80% of first-time hires leave their jobs within the first year of their working life? And that figure has not changed. Since 1981, I'm observing the same figure, and it's not changed at all. So I do believe that there are many things. As a psychologist, I believe there are many factors at play here. The first and primary factor, it's a life transition issue. People are moving from being, parent dependent, living in families, living in homes, to being, people responsible with responsibilities and a role to play in society, in secondary systems. Next to home, the job is the second biggest arena for us to display our skills and to perform and to contribute. And many times it also involves change of city and a change of town. Move to Bombay city to take up a job, I moved to Delhi to take up a job. And so the life transition issues need to be addressed. So since we are talking of concept here, I fail to never apply the Tuckman model, the forming, storming, norming, performing stages of transition that always happen. I have witnessed it, I have experienced it, and I don't think the concept is irrelevant. We need to understand that if all of you have experienced here the Tuckman model, where the transition goes through initially stage of euphoria, denial, honeymoon, and then we go to the storming stage where things get very stormy. And the students, when they're on the jobs, they're finish their onboarding, they're on the job, they've got a boss and they've got subordinates to report to, they've got whole organizations, politics and culture to adapt to, all the storming that happens there. And that is the death valley when people tend to leave the most. And that is where we need to catch the students and hold their hands through some form of norming. There's a learning process, understanding written and unwritten rules of the organization, the culture of the organization, what is your role, how to fit into that role, and then the performing can happen. So I do believe the Tuckman model definitely applies, and I've seen it and I've witnessed it and I've advised on it constantly. So transition is very important. It's a life transition. It's something like, you know, when you get married, next to marriage, your job, marriage is the first most important thing. Job is the second most. It's like when you get married, there's a period of courtship. There's a period of engagement. It's the most best period of your life. Then you get married and the ceremony is like you join. And then there is a honeymoon period where everything is nice, but then within a couple of years, reality sets in and you all know what happens there. There's one more aspect I want to take up before I close here. Also, you know, it's man's search for meaning, man and woman's search for meaning. What's the purpose? What's my ikigai? What is the purpose of my life? What is the role I need to play? What is my identity? And as organizations, I would advise organizations to help people find their ikigai. It's a sense of finding identity in the organization. People whom I can be with, people I can identify with, people I cannot identify with. Creating meaningful engagements with people. And it's not just about performing on a job. It's more about that identity, and that identity is what creates some membership, sense of membership in the organization. So I wish I could talk a lot more, but I know time is very short. But I do feel that these are two big areas. One is handholding through the transition, through personalized, individualized approach. The way you would handhold an extrovert is different from how you would handle an introvert. The way you would handle a cognitively inclined person is different from the way you would handle an emotionally inclined person. So how would you handhold, provide individual touch there? And second is, how would you also enable people to discover their identity and create a meaningful, purposive, ikigai-based role in the organization? So these are just two inputs I would like to give here today. Thank you very much, Dr. Amit Jain. It's over to you again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anita. It was a wonderful address, and thank you so much for giving 360-degree view of this journey from campus to corporate. Right, so that was really interesting because I've been there, done that, and seen all. So, in fact, and one very striking thing that you talked about, you tried to get into the root cause of the issue. You know, you touched upon that why people leave within a year or 2 years of their first job, and you very rightly identified the cultural fit. You know, but again, I have certain questions, and maybe during Q&A, I would like to take it up that, you know, how to find that right cultural fit, because that culture might be very unique to every organization.
True.
And there are 20, 30 organizations visiting a campus. So how to address that, probably I'll leave you with that. And
requires an individualized approach.
Session, we'll come back to it.
It requires an individualized approach, and it is possible.
Thank you so much. So we'll move on to our next speaker, and Dr. Kiran Moy. She's a very, very experienced professional and has worked in industry, several domains, led from the front. Over to you, Dr. Kiran Moy. We are eager to hear to you now.
Thank you, Dr. Amit Jain and Professor Kurian Daniel, Dr. Natashree, and fellow ISTDians. It's indeed a pleasure to be sharing the experience and insights which we have gained along with my co-panelists on campus to corporate. Well, a couple of things. I've been listening to the others and very valid inputs. If I were to look at it from the lens of a product, a high technology product company, which is what I represent, I've been part of these organizations for several decades. The way we would look at a campus to corporate and who we bring on board would be, like Shashi Rajan also talked about, it will be slightly different, because when you look for the kind of skills or capabilities of an individual who is entering and manufacturing in a kind of a setup, shop floor, would be very different from someone who's getting into R&D, because innovation is the engine here. So what are we looking for? There are 3 C's, I would say, just as Dr. Ruma talked about the 9 E's, I would present it as 3 C's, where we're looking at confidence. It's so important for the individual to be confident about himself or herself. Creativity, because innovation is a fuel, I said, or the engine which fuels. So we need creative juices, obviously, in the individual. And then, most importantly, collaboration. So confidence, creativity, and collaboration. Of course, I can extend it with risk-taking ability, wherein I can add courage there, and I can expand on the C's. But these 3 are critical when someone joins an industry which is high technology product company, which is relying more on innovation and invention. Now, why is that so? And this also addresses what Anita was mentioning in terms of the emotional piece, and she talked about the ikigai and the culture fit and so on. Very clearly, these would actually resonate with product companies, because you're looking at continual innovation, because that's the only way such industries will continue to survive and thrive. And hence, if an individual is incapable, and I don't think any individual is incapable of creativity, it's just that, do they choose to be energized to be creative? How does the energy flow in that individual? What are the choices an individual makes? And that is where I'm bringing confidence is important, because if I don't have self-confidence as an individual, there is no way I will be able to channelize my energy to innovate or think differently or think out of the box, as we say. And of course, collaboration. So just to mention the kind of, if I look at the organization I currently represent, Western Digital, which is world's largest data infrastructure storage solutions provider. And it's omnipresent. So what do we need from the engineers we bring in, or the MBA grads we bring in from B schools? Very clearly, we're looking at individuals who are risk takers as well as problem solvers. Now, these are the kind of skills which is more behavioral, which is more with respect to not just the domain skills. Domain skills is the knowledge which they gain through the education and exposure. But we're looking at the potential to take risks, the potential to solve problems, and these are complex problems. So right from the interview stage, through the onboarding, as we talk about, we look at that culture fit, wherein the individual is giving his or her 100%, the whole self, as we say, with respect to crafting any problem. Are they stuck with the problem, or are they moving towards being part of the solution? That's where the collaboration element comes in. And when we're talking about the collaboration element, there are 3 cardinal principles we talk about. Think big. Think big would mean that's where innovation, you think out of the box, you think beyond. And the next cardinal principle or value we refer to is obviously make it happen. It's not enough that you can ideate, but you also have to ensure that you deliver. So intent is as important as implementation, in other words. So think big, make it happen, and do it together. How do you do it together? Obviously, collaboration. So these are the ingrained values of the organization, and we would like to see the potential manifestation of these in grads who are seeking a role or being part of the family. So that is where I'm bringing in these nuances. And I'm sure Dr. Amit and my co-panelists would agree. We always look at, when we talk about culture fit, we're also looking at a sense of alignment. What's the alignment? Like, we want to trust someone. How do you trust an individual, a complete stranger, or anyone whom you interacted with for a little time? Basically, you look for an individual's thoughts, which of course, none of us have now the ability where you'll toggle the switch and say what's happening in someone's brain. But you know that there are thoughts which get translated into their words, the way they express it either verbally or non-verbally. And then those words will translate into action in the way they do certain things. So when you look at an individual, so if I were to use the Sanskrit terms, manasa, vacha, karmana, what does that mean? What you have thought, that is the mind or the thoughts which emanate. Vacha is how you speak. So is the individual walking the talk? That's where the reliability, credibility, everything comes in for an individual, and the trust forms for the others who are working with this individual or who are associated with this individual. So the manasa, vacha, then the third aspect, which is karmana. So the deeds, the actions of the individual also clearly demonstrate whatever is thought is translated into words, and the words are being translated into actions. When you see that beautiful alignment among these three various facets of the individual, that is when trust forms. So same thing I would attribute to the core or the cardinal principles I talked about. Think big, because that's where the innovation can happen. And then make it happen, because it's not enough if you ideate, but that vision or the strategy or whatever thought has to be implemented, because delivering on that is important. And finally, the final piece, which we said, do it together. It's not just the what, but it's also the how. If the new campus grads are unable to embrace this, if they're not able to create that synergy and coherence between their thoughts and actions, intent versus implementation, that's where the rubber is not going to meet the road. It's so important for us when we are looking at an individual who can bring in this energy and that synergy of thoughts and actions. That is what we mean when we are looking at candidates who are freshers out of school or college, as we say, who are able to bring this energy and this potential or this promise. Now, having said that, how do we craft or bring them on board? Because it's a navigation, it's very different. The cultures are very different when they're in a school or college or university, as we say, and then when they enter into the corporate. And that is where what we have been successful is the model or the approach we follow, given the tools and technology which are available today with us, we leverage that. So we gamify. So the onboarding, that whole journey is gamified. Now, why is it gamified? One is, yes, it's the levers, which the enablers of technology, as we say. But more importantly, given the millennials, given that cohort, that generation, I think gamification also brings out the best in them. The excitement, the enthusiasm, the energy. It's important for us to tap into that. Hence gamification. And it also allows the corporate to watch, to observe and see what else can be done to continue to keep up that excitement or energy among these new grads, new college grads. And as we're doing that, the cultural integration, because they get to understand what are the core values of the organization, what is relevant and important. And we clearly make a distinction with respect to what are domain skills, which are relevant, which they're bringing to the table through their educational certifications. But what is also equally important is obviously the behavioral skills, their attitudinal skills, the way they're going to really look at today, the mantra we always embrace is diversity and inclusion. So when we bring in the D&I as we talk, it's about, yeah, they come from various parts of the country. India is such a vast country. If I just take the subcontinent, the language is different, the culture is different, where they come from, right? What they speak, the religion or the faith they practice, all that could be very different. But that is what is unique they're bringing into the organization. But are they really creating or crafting within their cohort that inclusivity? Do they have mutual respect to each other, irrespective of where they come from, who they are, right? It's nothing to do with the last name or the first name. That's an identity. I loved what Anita said. Yeah, it's an identity. But that identity should not become a roadblock. That identity should be a lever where they're able to craft it forward and say, this is who I am. But again, respect the differences among the others and bring in that inclusion. And that is how the cultural integration happens right from the step one, wherein are they willing to learn? I heard someone talk about the potential, the learnability, or their capability to learn or openness to learning. Because there is no such thing, any one of us today can say, hey, it's a finished product. I mean, Dr. Amit Jain, you lead the university, you have seen it. There's nothing called a finished product. Yes, there are some ingredients or elements. Now we have to shape it even further. It could be like the raw cut diamond, right? It has its value, but it has to be chiseled and, it brings in the sparkle and the finish. All that happens as they move into the corporate or the organizations of their choice. So that is how I would look at. I'll give you one example before I wrap up. I am always reminded of what a great painter like Picasso said, and it's etched on my mind constantly whenever I think about these situations. Picasso once said, it took me 4 years to paint like Rembrandt. Again, Rembrandt is another phenomenal painter. So he said, it took me 4 years to paint like Rembrandt, but it took me a lifetime to paint like a child. Now, the beauty of this clearly tells us, and that's exactly what corporates or organizations want from the new college grads. We want that innocence. We want that openness to learn. We want that zeal. We want that energy. We want that enthusiasm. That is so much needed for corporates. I do not want that to be untainted or tainted in any way. Then it can be molded as per the culture of the corporate. That's how I would look at it. Thank you.
Well said, Dr. Kiran Bhai. And in fact, I had this opportunity to work with you in the editorial board of Indian Journal of Training and Development. And I have seen you practicing what you preached just now in terms of confidence, creativity, and collaboration. Probably that sums up everything that you said. Thank you so much. We'll move on to our last but not the least speaker, Dr. G P Rao, the stalwart of the industry, who has led the HR and L&D movement in India right from the front. Over to you, Dr. G P Rao.
Thank you, Professor Jain. My feelings are like the last candidate before an interview board. When the interview board bolte hai, jaldi bolo, because the time is up. Actually, the time is up. And similarly, the second predicament I have is I'm at a remote place. I'm using a hotspot. So if there is any instability, I may have to switch off my video and just keep the audio. Typically, that last boy or the girl appearing before the interview board. Okay, having said that, let me first salute all the ISTD veterans. Thank Professor Jain, Dr. Vijay Phate, and Mr. Daniel for giving this opportunity. And so far as my insights are, there was a heavy shower. I am supposed to plant the trees. So let me see what I can do. Already the shower was there. I asked a few CEOs that when the companies, better companies, best companies, successful companies, what is the mantra you do? He said, we grow with passion and resilience. I said, does that apply to employees? I said, very much. Employees also must grow with passion and resilience. Oh, that's very nice. Then how do you ensure that the employees, particularly the engineering graduates and the management graduates who join you, they all subscribe to this principle of grow with passion and resilience? They said, we will get the best candidates, best. So I'm not talking about the 10% of the people who choose, 10% of the candidates who choose companies. I am not talking about the companies who can choose candidates from business schools or engineering colleges. I am talking about this 90% of people who compete to get employed and be employable, not underemployed. So let's talk about them. They said, okay. Then I asked one simple question to them: beyond the CGPA and the domain competence, what exactly you want? I'll try to put a summary of that. Number one, they said, is agility and adaptability. We want the engineering graduate coming to us, or a management graduate, has to be agile, adaptable, because nothing is certain. Volatility comes, pandemics come, they have to be adaptable. He said, this is one thing we want to know. Probably this is not there in the domain knowledge, nor in the CGPA. I said, what is next? They said, business acumen. In MBA, it is there partly, but engineering colleges, it's very much lacking. This is their view. They said business acumen, commercial acumen. This is something we want to see. This is what we look at them in the group discussions and the interviews. Okay, that's nice. What's new? The new thing they said, I mean, this is a new thing. The third one I'm talking about is new thing is critical thinking. I said, why you are using the jargons? He said, no, we are not using jargons. This is what is required to be in the competitive ways. If you really want to beat the challenges, if you really want to stay put, if you really want to swim ahead, you have to have this critical. I said, it's fine. I understood agility, adaptability, understood business acumen, commercial acumen. I didn't understand. I asked them. They said, can you tell me elaborately? One CEO told me it's Baniya Buddhi. And then I said, I understood commercial acumen. Third, I said about the critical thinking. I said, what else? They said, digital mindset. I said, okay, this is very important. It is not. And they also said, some of the boys and girls, they didn't understand the difference between digitization and digitalization. I said, don't tell me like that. He said, yes. We asked what is digital. They were confusing between digitization, digitalization. So they want to be very, very clear. Digitalization, the processes, practices, what else? The existing things can be digital. So that kind of mindset, they said, it's fine. Okay, is it okay? No, they said two more. Said after this, said, what is that? Said emotional mindfulness. Said, why is it required? He said, during this recent pandemic, we have seen managers and leaders, line managers, HR managers, those who could integrate business with compassion, those who could maintain, showed their ability of the connect to the employees, they succeeded. And those who could withstand the pressures and stresses, they could succeed. He said, so we want to give that very much importance to that. That might cover empathy, that might cover connect, that might cover emotional intelligence, what a mental ability, that's it. Okay, so this is all fine. He said, yes, fine. So then he said, agility, adaptability, business and commercial acumen, the critical thinking, the digitalization, finally the emotional thing. I said, it's all fine. But how do we inculcate those, and how do you test those? Two things. How do we develop those and how do you test those? And for the testing, they said, we have got group discussion, we have got interviews, we have got ability test. I said, fine, please share with the corporates. I have requested the corporates, share with the engineering colleges and business schools so that they will teach them. If the test is known, I'll teach. Okay, then how can we develop that? They gave me three ideas. First idea is the interns. The interns, we only think intern means summer intern. No, any online project, any assignment, any linkage between corporate and academia, that is kind of an internship. Interns can be a very good source for sensitizing them with our expectations, and also for the students to understand the culture of the organization. Very good opportunity to understand the culture of the organization during the interns. The second source is alumni. Second, I said, what could be the second thing? Second thing will be the corporate and industry academia collaboration. How does it happen? Curriculum design, guest faculty, co-teaching. They came out a lot of ideas, but now it's time to utilize those. Okay, I just said one last thing what you can do. They said many of these schools and e-schools, they want to come in the second year itself, can come and do a pre-placement talk. Why we should be invited in the last year? We can come here and do a pre-placement talk. Let the boy and girl know about our company, know about our expectation, know about our glad plans, know about our expectation. We are prepared to do that. That's one. The second one, they said we co-teaching and co-curriculum. That's what they said. So the corporate India is ready with this. I'm sure academic India is also ready. Only the third that is required to do is the service providers. Some of these abilities, we may not have the right faculty to teach these abilities. There are service providers, two types. One is the NGO type, the other is the consultant type. It's fine. This integration is required. So just to sum it up, so only the 5 abilities: adaptability, agility, business and commercial acumen, critical thinking, digital mindset, and emotional mindfulness. It is possible to do. Congratulations, ISTD. Let's all work together. Industry, academia, service providers, let's all come together, ensure that those 90% people get employed and be employed and contribute, grow with passion and resilience. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rao. What a summary of the entire session, I'll say, because I started by setting the context and I talked about VUCA and the Bani word. And if I look at, your address, you have addressed all the major challenges that our students or the freshers, either in B school or E school, face in a very detailed and comprehensive way. Because this brittleness requires capacity and resilience. This anxiety requires empathy and mindfulness. This non-linearity requires context and adaptivity, and incomprehensibility demands for transparency and intuition. So you very well talked about it, and your suggestions are really practical. In fact, I'm going to implement it at my own institution. That why pre-placement talk in the last year? Why not in the second year itself? Come and tell our students what we want, and let them work for it for next 2 to 3 years time. Ready to be absorbed, and they are ready for the job from day one. So wonderful thoughts, Dr. Rao. And with this, we come to an end as far as the initial address by all the panelists is concerned. And now I'll hand it over to Dr. Vijay to take on the questions from the audience and take the session further. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. Before I take some questions from the audience, I just would like to present it view to the panelists. Somebody is need to be muted. Bhupesh sir. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. In the beginning itself, I was thinking I have been witnessed to many industry institute interaction, and the gap is always there from academia and industry, and this gap is very dynamic. What industry expect, say, in a year 2020 and what academia is having in 2020 will not be the same when it comes to the 2021 and 22 session. So by moment a year is passed, there will be a change in the requirement. So academia is constantly trying to pace with the expected expectation of industry, and things are moving in the fast pace. So they are not able to keep the pace. Okay, that's a one thing I want even the panelists can elaborate while they are doing the other question and answer. Second thing, the job analysis, what we say, is comprising of job description, job specification, and job evaluation. Here I want to again emphasize on you all that what is expected to do, that is the job description. There is a mismatch between what is provided and what is asked for the candidate and what is they are supposed to do in industry at their culture place. There is a second job specification. What is most important or competencies required to do the specified job? There is a mismatch between the competencies required. And third, which is the most important one, is what will be provided. That is called job evaluation. There is a mismatch between the expectation of students and what is provided by the industry. So these are the three areas wherein I will again like to attract the attention of the panelists while they are briefing on this. So I will move to the questions. We have a first questions from the Bharti Sadragni, and she is doing some research and she is saying that English skills for employability. How much is needed English skill for the employability? So any panelists would like to say something about that?
I can definitely address that.
Yeah, Kiran Bhai.
Yeah, I actually tried to address it even in the chat with Bharti.
Yeah.
From a language skills, especially depends on the nature of the industry and also the nature of the role. If it's a sales and marketing role and it's more to do with an FMCG product, obviously it's not just the language English, but also the local languages, vernacular as we say, which are equally important, because more than the language, I would look at their approach to communicate. I mean, today we're no longer talking about English, how fine the language is. That's gone, that shifted. Unless you're moving into very senior leadership roles and you ought to make presentations and so on. That's why I'm saying nature of the role. Most of our engineers are not extremely good when it comes to their English language skills, but they're really versatile when it comes to their coding ability or their VLSI design skills. So it all depends on what is the nature of the role. So let's not get stuck only with English language as such, because certain roles may not demand it as much. If they're able to communicate, I would hinge on communicative ability rather than English language skills. And I would also use the word intelligibility, because when they communicate, are they able to connect with people? Are they able to build relationships with people? Because that will go much longer in terms of building their own career and not just the fine English somebody speaks. I'm sure there are other panelists who would like to chime in as well.
Yeah.
No, I think
Very
well
true.
said. It is about impactful communication. Bittu Tikkiwala made a presentation, business presentation in 30 seconds. I have recently seen. It is about impactful communication, not the flowery English. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you,
I
sir.
would also agree with that point of view, that it's about how you connect with people, the emotional connection that is more important, than the words that you use. And it's the tone and the body language that is equally important, not so much the grammar and the vocabulary that you have. Having said that, I do believe that English, we are speaking English today, it's a common language across the country. If I'm speaking, say, in Hindi, for example, many people in southern India who do not understand Hindi, and in different parts of the country too. And if I'm speaking in Tamil or in Malayalam, then also people do not understand me. So to create more inclusive climate in organizations, English and Hindi are two languages which are very good common binding languages. So I think all aspects need to be looked at, like we talked about
Yes.
the job role, senior management, the universality of the language. But above all, it's the emotional connect. That is
Thank
more.
you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Dr. Anita.
That
Some
last
of the
statement, Dr. Vijay, I'll make here that South communication is important, but being multilingual definitely helps. So
Yes.
at this institution, we have made one foreign language compulsory for all the students, and we
Yes.
provide them with 5-6 options: French, German, Spanish, Mandarin, everything. They can pick up any one foreign language, because being multilingual definitely helps.
That's great, sir. Having said this, I've been also working with organizations and industry on the both side. We all our interviews starts with English only. Tell me something about yourself, irrespective of whatever we expecting them to say. But that is what is the first question where they have to face. That's great, sir. Second question we have, and this is asked by multiple audience members. Anand Kumar, then we have Tanmay Shinde, and they want to know what extra courses they need to do in addition to what has been prescribed in their curriculum.
Shall I?
Yeah, yeah,
Go ahead.
no, ma'am.
Okay, so whatever is there in the the curriculum that people definitely need to go through. But if you see this NAP 2020, there are a lot of changes has taken place in terms of skillful activity. So, and as well as also exit and entry, multifold exit and entry is also there. So I believe that if people can go through this and like kind of this skillful activities, skillful courses, if they can pursue, that will help with their curriculum as well.
Thank you.
I want to add in to say, we are a nation where majority of us think more certificates and more degrees will help us. I would say the contrary. Once you have, a degree from a school or a university, as we would say, that is adequate for you to be eligible to be taken for an interview, job interview. Now, what other courses and all, it depends on that particular industry and that particular nature of the job. So you can't think through everything unless you're very clear, this is the industry I want to get into and this is the kind of role I want to do. Then you can check in with that relevant industry group and the people who are ahead of you are part of that. It's like alum of that. And then check in, what else can I learn before it's like preparing yourself to get into it. Otherwise, having a degree itself is more than adequate, but your fundamentals need to be strong. Majority of the time we find people would have pursued a degree, but their heart is not in there. They just want to enter into the industry, but they haven't done their homework. So the basics, the fundamentals of those subjects. And earlier, Mr. Rao talked about various acumen, right? So they need, if I'm entering into an industry or making a foray into a specific line, be it pharma, be it, IT services, I need to at least have a good fair amount of idea of what that industry is like. That is the business acumen. Majority of them just walk in and then why do you want to join this company? They're clueless. They need to have done simple homework, right? In terms of understanding why this company, how is this company different from other companies or other industries? Why are they aspiring to get in there? So those are like very commonly asked, but not many of them make an impact in terms of how they address it. They have to speak from the heart, but if they've done their work, they'll be able to do it.
Okay.
I would,
well said,
I
Kiran
would, I would
bhai.
have an answer.
So-
I have a
sorry,
different
Anita.
answer. I'm
Sorry,
sorry. I
sorry.
have a different answer to that one. I believe we should learn a new skill every year. And I think it's very important to stay relevant in the times. And the times are changing. And we heard about the BANI acronym. And the last one is incomprehensible. And I do believe to remain relevant and to remain, in trend, one new skill every year post-qualification is very important.
But we're talking about new college grads, Dr. Amita. So the intention was they don't have to really keep adding certifications. It's more about getting into the corporate world. Later, yes, what you're saying,
Yeah.
reskilling and upskilling are important.
One new training every 6 months.
Yes.
So
may I add a point here?
My
GP sir
specific
first.
advice to students is, Dr. Pate, my
Yeah.
specific advice to the young students is
Right.
read balance sheets,
Ah.
visit company websites. Only two advice I think is that.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, Shashi Ranjan, sir.
Yeah,
Very
I just
good
wanted to
advice.
add that these questions, apart from the curriculum, these questions are very, very important. Like, tell me something about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? It's not that interview board is looking for the specific answer to those questions. In fact, they are exploring that how do we probe the candidate a little further?
True.
So these things, which are 5-6 standard questions, you will find it you can Google and find it out. Make your answers written, rehearsed very well. And in addition to that, what Kiran Bhaiji talked about, you must have an understanding about the industry, and you also must be having understanding about the product market area. Like I remember one of my early days interview, like any Gen Y, Gen Z, we are not millennials, but in the initial 2 years, as Anita ji was talking about, I also left 4 jobs, and this is that I settled at the 5th one. I was asked in a Coal India interview, what is coking coal? I was at loss at that point of time, but I gave a very witty answer. Everybody laughed, and then I was through. Didn't join, that is a separate story. So it's very important that we read about the industry, we read about the placement of that company in that industry, also the balance sheet or the trends, the success trends or the market share of that company. Because not only when a question comes and you talk about it makes an impression, but you can create an inclination of the navigation of the interview toward that. That makes a tremendous impact. Thank you.
Sir, thank you, Mr. We have a very important question, because since throughout your panel discussion, you stressed on transition, and that's very important issue, transition from campus to the corporate and cultural fit. Okay. There is one question and suggestions from our senior NP, ex-NP and Sunil Labral sir. Roll up apprenticeship 3 to 6 months in better transfer from corporate to campus, campus to corporate. Anyone would
Yes.
like to say?
It definitely works.
answer the
It definitely works because it's like an
Can I
engagement.
answer the question?
It's like you're
Sir,
living
please,
in.
please, sir. No, it's question to the panelists. Let them answer first.
So
It's a government of
Thank
India
you.
policy now.
I do believe that transition, and if you have an internship before you offer a job, it makes the chances much better, of a proper adjustment and psychological adjustment of the company to the employee and the employee to the company both. So an internship would definitely be very welcome. But at the same time, let's speak a little caution. It's like the courtship before a marriage. The
Yeah.
reality of organizations, the game, the political games, the group dynamics, and the whole thing is never revealed in an internship. So the reality of the organization, the practical aspects comes only when you actually join and are on the job and you have to perform. So while it makes the chances much better of assessing each other, but the reality, it's like a marriage. You never know what's going to transpire after.
Yeah, we need to keep close it short. There is something, one more interesting thing for me. In organization in Western areas, the corporates are going to the education institute in their onboarding or the induction stage. And in the induction stage, can they do the shortlisting of candidate? And throughout the course, I am coming this specifically directing to Amit sir. Can this happen? Like companies are coming not in even second year, in the first year itself, when you are inducting student and giving them presentation, and throughout their career, they can help them monitor their progress and guide them in achieving those competency which is required by the organization. And at the same time, they can also sponsor for their internship program and their future development. This is a good strategy. It can be implemented in India, and that will solve many of the problem. Because once you finish a product and then you मतलब घड़े को आपने पक्का कर लिया, अब उसको बोल रहे हैं कि तोड़ के मोड़ के shape change कर लो. So rather than doing it initial phase, as it is possible, it should be done. So
Definitely, in fact, within many institutions in their induction programs these days, orientation programs these days, do call industry professionals. We also call them, and
Yes.
definitely it sets the tone for the entire program going forward. And students also enjoy having, right from the horse's mouth, that what exactly is expected out of it.
Right.
It is.
GP sir.
Professor Jain, it's a good thought. It's a good thought, but not practical to do it 100%. Start with 5%, 10% of the students adopted by the corporates. So start something, maybe 5 companies, 6 companies. Start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, since our NP has to also address related to certain other issue, we will cut short this session. One last thing I would like to you all to specify on this, regarding even Anita ma'am has also said, and Ruma ma'am and other also said that why people are not staying long, students are not staying long in their first job. I call it as a career break. I think most of them are taking it as a stepping stone, because if they don't get a dream company for themselves, they are choosing the company, and they are just prepared in the initial also their mindset that I just want to stay here for a 6 month to 1 year time to get my experience certificate and move on to. What do you think about? What do you say about this thing?
May I, Dr. Fateh?
Yes, sir.
Allow me to disagree, sir, here. The attrition rate for any major corporation, I'm not talking about these times like IT is touching 50% or something. Generally, attrition rate for any stable organization is 5 to 10% in the initial 1 year.
Okay.
So most of the people do stay, and then the organizations which take the individual care, the individual needs of the executive, and mold them well with the culture of the organization, their people tend to stay. And if we see for the bigger corporates, their chairman and their functional directors, most of them come as a management trainee of that organization only. It's 5 or 10% leaving the organization in the first year. That's more of the function of age where people are experimenting. Dr. Anita talked about it in the opening remarks also, and that should be respected. Like I very often say, if you like we recruit law graduates from PG CLAT, if we engage top 10 All India rankings, and if somebody gets selected in judiciary, it's very natural that she or he would leave. So this attrition is good also for certain reason. Once we recruit the best, they have many opportunities, they leave. But many of them do stay, and it's the role of the HR manager. If they do it well, then people stay, and staying is good. Thank you.
Do we have time
Thank
to
you so much,
respond to this?
Dr. Vijay. I think now we should give the
Stop,
stage
okay.
to our MP
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And
Done,
for his
done.
concluding
Thank you.
remarks.
Thank you so much.
So it
Thank
was a wonderful panel discussions, and with the question answers you addressed, and I hope that even the membership state is also very good. So we conclude on our own that it's a successful program, and I request now our National President Natashree sir to please guide us further.
Thank you, Vijayji. Thank you very much. Going further, I have learned a lot of things for every learned person. Some academician, some trainer, some consultant, and all the senior members of ISTD. Thank you very much. A good program. Respected my past president of Emeritus, the panelists, my OB team, especially Kiran Daniel for arranging this, my treasurer and my 4 RBPs, and the participants. Today I will tell something regarding the IFTDO. Before going to IFTDO, you maximum as ISTD people know the ISTD. As head of the institute, 2 things I used to tell. Our diploma program is going on, admission. I would request everybody to propagate our diploma in this regard for admission. Second, I'm coming to ISTD's most prestigious flagship program, that is IFTDO conference. I would request Gurvinder ji to give a one video so that details of this.
Hello everyone. Wish you and your families happy festivities. I am sure you all are staying safe during this pandemic. The pandemic has completely changed the way we live. However, we in IFTDO strongly believe that this is a passing phase and we shall surely overcome. The human spirit will always prevail. So friends, we are excited to host the next IFTDO conference in India, the land of beautiful people, beautiful places, and rich heritage. Keeping with the tradition of IFTDO, the conference aims to bring the best minds around the world together. Thought leaders, practitioners, executives, academicians, researchers, and many more. I hope to see them delving into different facets of agility, adaptability, and alignment, which incidentally have become key aspects in this changing world. You may also see that our theme is woven around these elements. We promise to give you a thrilling experience of learning, knowledge sharing, generation of new ideas, leadership insights, and of course, above all, Indian hospitality. Friends, we are eagerly looking forward to welcome you for the next edition of F2Do World Conference. Please stay safe and gear up to be in India in May 2022.
Thank you, Gurvinderji. ISTD conference. Thank you, Gurvinderji. The ISTD conference is in May 19th to 21st in Bigyan Bhavan, where our president has been briefed and invited for the inauguration of the program. We have already the two ministry, one is Petroleum Department and his ministry, Hardeep Singh Puri, and also Education Ministry and his minister also Dharmendra Pradhanji in the our patron. Apart from that, there is a very prominent speaker. Some of the members are there. The members of the speaker committee, members of the delegates committee, and also some of the key members of the ISTD are present there. They also tell something regarding the ISTD if they feel. Dave Ulrich has already confirmed to be in India. Johnny C. Taylor is confirmed. And also Jack J. Phillip is confirmed to come to India. Apart from the other Michael Potter and also Lee Lai, all are confirmed to come to India in this program. So the magnanimity of the program is, I hope it is one of the best program we are host in ISTD for our flagship program. So I would request every member today present, including my OB team, my other colleague, NC member, and others to propagate this ISTD program across the country and also the globe. And whatever the necessary infrastructure is required to support, ISTD Secretariat is there and they will do the things. Apart from that, the early bird is going on. I would request every members and every chapter chairmen to percolate this news to your members, as we have more than 9,000 very learned members. In this regard, I also include that the ISTD members will get the 20% discount for life member, and also will make them other facilities for ISTD conference. So why late? Come together, this prestigious program. And also, I would request every members who is present there to please be a part of the ISTD committee, please be a part of the ISTD conference and make a grand success of this ISTD. Thank you very much. I would request another 1 or 2 members is there. Key people are there. If they want to tell anything, Anita ji is there. She is also one of the members. I have seen that our Akil Busai ji also there. Vijay ji also there. If also you want to tell something, you can tell for next 1 minute. So I am giving the microphone to my NBP, Kiran Daniel, to moderate another 5 to 10 minutes regarding ISTD. The key members who are there can tell about their experience and about their expectation, what we can do it. Kiranji, thank you, Kiranji, for your relentless support for this program. Last 5 programs you are doing. It's a wonderful program. And I do not go for details because I learn, I know the panelist has told many things, so that we have learned a lot of things, but I more stress on ISTD. So learned members who are the key members of their ISTD committee can tell something regarding there. We have also in the board Dr. Olka Mittalji, ONGC. She is also our chair of one of the committee and also advisory board. Apart from the director, Indian Oil, and others, Raghupati Singhania ji, Santop Misra ji, and also Arundhati Bhattacharya is also our team, apart from the ministry and others. Thank you all, and we expect everybody in the ISTD. Over to Kiran ji. Thank you, Kiran ji.
Thank you, Dr. Natashree. We already have seen a great presentation about IFDO. I hope all the members and the non-members of this program will definitely attend this great event, and we will all will make it a grand success. Before we complete this program with the vote of thanks, with the permission of Dr. Natashree NP, I will announce a few programs. One is mainly that we have completed 5 series of the same theme, that is Campus to Corporate. And I request NP to identify a pool of experts, both from academia as well as corporate, to design the courses which will be beneficial for the students as we are committed. And next program will be on 5th March, that is Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Our topic will be sustainable way of life to mitigate climate change. As we are facing a lot of climate change in our environment, it is our prime responsibility as a society to take care of and discuss about the things and understand the problems we are facing and how we can curtail the up to certain limit. So we have identified a very good professionals, faculties for that one. We will come out with the flyer and other details. Please mark your calendar, 5th March 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Next program will be there. I would like to extend heartfelt thanks to Dr. Natashree for allowing us to continue with this series. Heartfelt thanks to all the panelists and moderator and Dr. Vijay Phate for a successful and very valid discussion. And I have seen a lot of this one discussions points which you have come out with the participants. They are very happy. They have had a great takeaway from all these discussions. Let us come together to build this ISTD to greater heights. Thank you. Have a good night.